hands salute. Color guard, present the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, does the speaker have any words?
We've gathered today to honor and to remember Crash, more formally known as Vaughan's Crash. Now, Crash was many things to many people. He was a loyal and devoted servant to his master. He was a bright and hard-working animal, able to perform many, many tasks. To many of us, he was simply just a good friend, very kind and gentle. And in his recent years, he was a loyal and devoted servant for his master, Bill. Crash was born April 15, 1999, on the Harmon Ranch in Nowata. His father was an English setter, an English shepherd, I should say, from England. His mother was from Kansas. Growing up on a ranch, he obviously immediately took to herding cattle. By the time he was one, he was herding about 450 heifers. Now, Crash was very intelligent, and he didn't stop at just doing the normal herding of cows and that sort of thing. In fact, he could perform up to 65 separate tasks around the ranch, so he was quite a working animal. But he didn't stop there. Through his training, he was certified as a licensed, controlled, dangerous substance canine. In other words, a drug dog, what most of us just call a drug dog. He went on to become trained in search and rescue, finding lost people. He also was trained in cadaver search and rescue, in other words, looking for the dead, whether it be in structures or whether it be out in the field, both on land and in water. Crash ultimately knew how to perform 150 commands in English, and he knew 15 commands in 3 other languages. So he, in total, had about 195 commands that he would respond to. But Crash's accomplishments didn't stop simply with his working activities, which he performed for most of his life. On no less than 3 separate occasions, Crash came to the rescue of his owner and handler during life-threatening situations. Crash was brave. He was and he is a true hero. In fact, last January, the Oklahoma Veterinary Medical Association inducted Crash into their Hall of Fame in their hero category. But in spite of all of these accomplishments, I suspect most of us here knew Crash simply as a very friendly animal, somebody you really got to know. Crash loved people. He particularly loved children. Obie and I have been with Bill and Crash many times in Atwoods when we would run into a stroller with a young child in it. Once he had Bill's permission, Crash would immediately go over to the stroller, and because he was so calm, because he was so gentle, even if the young child was a child who had never been around dogs and was normally afraid of dogs, it wouldn't take long and Crash would win him over. He just had that way about him. When he came to our house, and I'd be looking around and wondering where Crash had gone to, I almost always knew exactly where he was. He was back in my wife's room, leaning against her leg and getting rubbed. Crash loved to be loved on. He really did. So Crash was quite an animal. He really was. I know that we're all going to miss him. We all have memories, however. He's really not gone because we have those memories. They will be with us for many, many years so that we can treasure them. I know I have many memories of Crash, many great times. I'm sure you do as well. And before we close, I'd like to see if any of you have any memories about Crash that you'd like to share. You can do so from right where you are. You don't have to come up here and take the mic if you don't want to.
Well, I'm proud to say that Bill wouldn't leave Crash with very many people. How old was he when you left him with me?
He was 3.
Was he 3 years old?
4.
And I was in charge, me and my little friend were in charge of cooking hamburgers and hot dogs for the FFA kids at the Claremore Fall show, and just happened to have Crash with us. I told Bill, I said, I'd be glad to keep Crash for a few days, but we're going to be involved with the 4-H kids and a lot of activity, and I'm not going to leave him anywhere. I'm going to take him with me. And Bill said, you take him anywhere you want to and tell him what to do and he'll be fine. And I'd been around him, and I knew how bright a dog he was, but I was just shocked that in his absence that he would do anything that I asked him to do. I was driving a Suburban at the time, and we loaded all that food back up in that Suburban and had to make a stop on the way home, and I told Crash to be a good boy and watch the truck, and I had pictures in my mind of a dog going through the ice chest and eating all the hamburger patties and all the weenies and stuff, and we came out and he was sitting right where I left him. He was just an exceptional animal, and he was just a pleasure to be around and be with, and I'll always remember him for that.
Anyone else?
My favorite memory of Crash is Bill would tell him to stay someplace, and Bill would turn away or look away, and I'd, come here, Crash, come here. And Crash would always come see me, but he'd always check on Bill, and I got him in trouble a lot, but it was fun.
Any others? I remember Obie was trained right over here in search and rescue on David's land. Crash and Bill would go set the trail quite often. And it was amazing how Crash could sit underneath a tree hiding somewhere, and he wouldn't let out a sound to let Obie know where he was. You know, Obie could never do that. When Obie and I set a trail just to let Crash practice, Obie would, as soon as he saw Crash, he was like, I want to run to him and tell him, here we are. But Crash could just sit there and just be so quiet, and then as soon as Obie got there, then Crash would just jump up and they'd play like crazy. But he was an exceptionally well-trained dog. Any other comments?
The other place you would look for Crash is where the bones were. Crash wasn't allowed rawhide bones really, but Obie did, and when he came over he would find Obie's bones. And he loved his frog,
Yeah.
which I sewed multiple times. That was fun.
should have brought it.
We enjoyed very much working with Bill as our dog trainer, and he would bring Crash over, of course, with him. He never went anywhere without Crash, and we always enjoyed watching Crash sit out in the back of his SUV, Bill's SUV, for 30 minutes or an hour while Bill conducted his business with us, never moving an inch on the instructions that he was to stay in the car all that time, and never saw him have any problem with doing so. And whether little children would come by and try and entice him out, that wouldn't do it. He was dutiful to the extreme.
Any other comments?
Does everybody know how he got his name?
Yes, no.
Huh?
No, enlighten us, please.
Well, as soon as I brought him home at 4.5 weeks old, I started his training, potty training, and then I was playing with the ball in front of him. And I'd be on the floor and I'd move that ball around and get him chase my hand. Well, at 5.5, 6 weeks old, I could throw it down the hallway. And he would go get that ball, and just a little bitty ball. And if the ball hit the wall, so did he. So he'd bring it back, and I threw it one more time, and my son backed his bicycle into the hallway. And that ball went right through the spokes, never touched it, went right through it, and Crash tried to go through him. So he got his head hung up in the spokes. So my son said he keeps crashing, so that's how he got his name. He earned it.
Yep.
Earned his name. Any other comments?
Well, we spent a lot of sneaky time together too while Bill and Aubrey were training Boo. Crash would scoot just a little bit, until he got to where my hand was, so we could sit and love while they worked.
Never forget about that.
Any others?
Honor guard. Firing squad. Work. Turn. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Order. Turn. Freeze and turn. Bugler Sound off.
All hands salute. Color guard, return to post. Stop. Oh. At ease. This is the end of our planned memorial. If
Thank
you
you.
guys want to get together and talk. Did a fine job. Crash served his nation well.
Thank you, ma'am.